everybody. It's Novell J. Lee, and welcome to a new edition of The Buzz here at Buzzworthy Radio. We're coming down to the wire in our South by Southwest coverage, and we continue with a return visit from Oliver Bernsen as we talk about the film Bagworm. This was interesting for me because you'll understand it as we get into the interview, but it's half trippy, half hangover-esque, and you're still left wondering, was it real what he experienced, or was it all in his mind? I had fun talking with Peter Falls and Ollie for this one, especially when we talked about the nail scene. And you're going to hear exactly why that captivated me so much. I'm going to leave you to it. Here it is, our interview for the movie Bagworm. Check it out. First, I need to introduce, listen, we already talked to Ali before, but he's back here talking about Bagworm with Peter Falls. He's also joining me. And the first thing I will mention is that when I saw the title, I probably was blind because I thought it said bookworm at first. But then when I
He
watched the
kind of is.
movie,
He kind of is.
but then when I watched the movie, that's totally not the appropriate title. So I was like, absolutely not. This is not a bookworm. But I could understand that statement of where we could probably say that he could be a bookworm just because he is a hammer salesman. He's a hammer salesman. So this is
You're going to say because he's erudite, but yeah, sure.
well, the way that he's just going about his business as a hammer salesman. I mean, guys, I can't believe I'm
Mhm.
saying these words. He's a hammer salesman, and then he steps on a nail, a rusty nail at that. And what I really, really was in tune with was how graphic it was when he stepped on the nail. I didn't realize that we were going to go in depth of what happened when he stepped foot on the nail. So please explain that as to why you wanted to expressly show exactly what happened as this foot just hits this rusty nail. And it's not just the rusty nail, guys. They were very, very it was very open with a lot of scenes in here. This is just one that really caught my attention.
I think the very simple answer is you answered it because it's effective. Because if you someone does something that's going to hurt and reverberate through the rest of your story and change their lives, you want the audience to feel it too and remember it. And I think to me, going inside and showing the layers that this thing rips through and the bone that it hits is the best way to do that.
I had to rewind it because
Good,
I
good.
did. I had to rewind it because I was literally watching it going, did I just watch what I just did? And lo and behold, when I rewound, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I thought it was. So
Yeah,
you really explained that perfectly because that was effective. That was very effective. I
good.
also I also consider this to be a stoner version, if there's any possible way that we can even compare it to The Hangover, but in certain aspects, especially in the party scene, I just literally was just, wow, this literally makes me feel like The Hangover a little bit. And if you guys see this when you're at South by, you'll understand why. There's a particular scene at a party where it just explodes, and I mean that literally and figuratively. So but for you, Peter, what
It's
was
like slacker. It's slacker hangover.
it? Definitely felt that way.
Yeah,
It definitely
yeah,
felt that way. But Peter,
yeah.
I mean, it was just an absolutely, for me, I was very in tune with the music in a lot of the background music in this because it was so
Mm.
loud loud and boisterous, but not in a bad way. It really just, I felt like it really emphasized the scene. But for you to act out, you to be a part of this, what was that for you to act and be doing all of these crazy, crazy scenes? Because I think the part for me that really, aside from the fact of the party, is just that the character bit the girl's lip. or bit her tongue. I was just like, I was like, wow.
Yeah, it's a whole other kind of party. That's Carol's idea of a party. Um,
I
well,
felt
Nabelle,
bad for
thanks.
him actually at that point. So I will say that I actually felt sympathy for him at that
That's
point. So
good.
yeah, I
That's good.
really
That
did.
Good.
means
I didn't feel like he was being an ass because there were certain points where he was maybe assholey, but there was actually parts where you could sympathize with the character. So I that was one of them, and then there was another part where I felt that he was very sympathetic
mm,
as well. But that was one that I really felt he you shouldn't she shouldn't have made him feel bad at that point. This was not something that he intended to do. It looked like it just happened, and I just sat there going like she's really making him feel like a total jerk where
hmm.
he wasn't a total jerk.
Well, I think that means we did our job to some extent, that you're not just completely hating Carol, you're sympathizing with him too. And I think that's one of the challenges of this movie was how do you make him sympathetic as well as painful as he is, and sometimes hard to watch. And all the intimacy of his body and other characters' bodies and all of that is, I think a manifestation of that kind of, that the insides coming out and exposing themselves and some of the disgusting sides of humanity that you're watching. And I like the Hangover comparison because it's not this doesn't necessarily strike me as like a uh post Apatow comedy
Definitely
but
not, but
right. But I like that. But we were just talking to someone else about how the second half of the movie does kind of feel
yeah.
different than the first half. And I think it's kind of multi-genre, funny, sympathetic, indicting, all of this being at play, I think is one of the reasons it's successful.
I think people can relate to Carol a little bit in the second half, especially where before they were going to the party, before they went to Vegas, and there was just that moment where Carol just basically is being real with his friend at that point in time and just literally just letting it all out. That part I related to him with the most because I think for me, not a lot of people can do that the way that Carol does that in real life. I feel like I'm one of
Mhm.
those people, and I just sat
Mm,
there and I aspire to want to be vocal and be real about something where you manifested and had in you for so long and he just let it out. And I know that there's this ambiguity of after he steps on the nail, is everything he experiencing real or is it something that's in his mind? But
Mhm.
I felt like that moment, I just would like, oh yeah, that's totally real. That's totally real.
mm,
So
mm,
Yeah.
I totally understand where you're coming from about how you had that conversation with someone else, how the second half of the movie is completely different than the first half. And that's really where it sets it apart, is that one
mm,
scene in particular for me.
Yeah. I think he gets like really stripped. Carol gets like really all his like kind of armor is stripped away because he's so anemic at that point that like he can't really fight anymore. So he just has to just say what's on his mind in an approachable way, as opposed to what we see at the beginning, which is a very kind of dogmatic way and like very
Yeah.
hard to take and do anything with. And I think Pete did such a good job of channeling those both of those sides of Carol, which one is extremely cruel and mean and self-possessed, and then the other side of it is just sweet and tender. I
Yeah.
think that Pete be able to find those two really extreme poles was the reason why that worked.
You were able to find, you were able to find that balance and it was played effortlessly throughout. So
Yeah.
Thank
I,
you.
yes, absolutely. And I really wish I could go on and on about this, but I can't. As much as I would love to continue this conversation, but we gotta wrap it up. But this was definitely something that made you think, and I was really happy to have the opportunity to watch it and discuss this with both of you. And we love to have you back for sure. And
Awesome.
also talk about this some more and talk about some other stuff. But yeah, I
Yeah.
really appreciate it, man. Absolutely, this was fun.
Thanks so much,
Thanks,
Novell.
Novell. I
Appreciate it.
really appreciate you watching. And yeah,
Absolutely.
thanks for the great questions as always.
Thanks for tuning in into the latest episode. For entertainment news, past interviews, and official merch, visit our website at buzzworthyradiocast.com. Until next time.